Hello, friends. Welcome to this live stream. And this live stream is about business and also about science. We are live and it's evening. It's chilly evening in India and elsewhere in the world. So, since I'm going to be live for almost 2 hours, and the idea about is to discuss about the what is happening in our world of business, and how do we basically steer ourselves in the world of business. Are there any new avenues, any new ideas that we can discuss collectively? So that is why I'm live from Akulmach. And if you have any suggestions, any questions during the program, you can write it out, and I will read out your message straight away. And your name will also be displayed on the screen when I am reading your question. All right, so let's begin. And today we're talking in the month of January, in the year 2023, and the year has just begun. It brings new hopes, new ideas among all of us, and we want to re-energize ourselves in a way that we actually look at the new year with opportunities. All right, so but sometimes these opportunities that we think of may not be entirely dependent on us. Sometimes the opportunities are happening because of the change in regulation, change in some other businesses taking some decisions, and because of that, that may open up new doors or may actually close some old doors. So that is why it is important for all of us to understand what is going on. So let's discuss what more is happening in the area of business, especially today. Today is January 9th, and we have very interesting lineup today. Let's go to the first one. Well, I think the first way of discussion is first point for discussion is how Indian economy is performing and what is the way forward. And as you know that any economy is mostly determined by the type of investors in that economy. So if there is no fresh investment happening in that economy, there is no business, there are no new avenues to create revenue for yourself, and investment requires that investor comes behind it. They invest money with the intention that that investment will grow, maybe double up or three times of what the money has been invested, so that when the money actually get to work, then there is revenue being generated, jobs being created, new taxes being collected, etc., etc. So we know that the Indian government has created a lot of streamlining of processes. And when we talk about streamlining of processes, it is very important that now the GST is online. There is a lot of digital currency which is coming up. Digital transactions are being done at the even the very very micro levels. So people are very comfortable in basically making these changes to their life. Nobody wants to carry cash and stuff like that. Then a lot of online activity being provided by the government. So there are a lot of changes which are happening. Old laws have been removed, which were legacy in nature. The new type of laws have come in, and the new regulations are there to help the Indian economy. So what is the way forward? I mean, all of this has happened, we already know that, so I'm just repeating that. But what is the way forward for Indian investor? But I think biggest opportunities for Indian investor is to favor the startups or the IT companies or the media content creators. That is where the next wave of investment is going to happen, and therefore the investors are now looking at putting their money in Indian stock markets, and especially behind the uh, content creators, new medium or sales mediums, and also the manufacturing. And in fact, in past few months, the fresh investment has almost doubled in the Indian economy. So a lot of investors are now putting their money in this area. So obviously the new blood being created for the Indian economy, so that after 3 months or after 6 months, the investor money can be doubled. That means there are a lot of opportunities which are happening in the e-commerce, in the area of content creators, in the area of AI, and also in the area of a lot of manufacturing which will shift from other countries to India. So a lot of ease of business is being provided, and that is why the transparency is being appreciated by the global investor community, that the India is now providing the transparent way of doing things and online way of doing things, and also the digital way of doing things. That is why most of the investors are now investing, putting a lot of their hard-earned money into Indian economy, and that is where it is going. So friends, if you have any suggestions, any questions on Indian economy, then you can send it to me, send it across, and I will display your name here and answer your questions. So since this is a live stream, there is no take or retake, so it's all happening live, and the idea is to interact with you so that we can have a very interactive way of have a discussion, and maybe some solution can come out of this interaction. All right, so I think this is where the Indian economy is going, and it looks pretty good from this point. From this point, that the Indian economy may be going to do good in the year 2023. But I think we need to break it down. We need to understand. We know that Indian economy is getting a lot of investors, but we need to still break it down in terms of where and how Indian economy is going to do good. And I think that is where the role of other information that I'm going to provide is going to play a role in our decision making. And these finer points are very important, because everybody needs these suggestions and this information. So let's move to the next item on our list, which is about digital gold. Now, digital gold is becoming attractive for investors. So I think digital gold, it's very interesting. What do you mean by digital gold? But meanwhile, there is a viewer, and he's saying hi. So hi, Akshay Kumar, thank you for watching this live show. If you have any suggestions, any questions, feel free to send it across, and I will display your name. As you can see here, I'm actually addressing you, and I can take up your questions or suggestion. So thanks for tuning in live. Thank you so much, and I'm waiting for your questions. So all right, so in this way, the investors are now going behind digital gold. So I was talking about digital gold. What is digital gold? Digital gold is even better than the gold, because what happens is that you actually invest in gold, but then you have to buy the gold and put it in a locker or put it in some safe place, because there is investment, whatever investment you have made in physical gold item, it has to be protected. So how do you protect and ensure that your gold grows? So there are mutual funds and there are investments in digital gold. That means you don't have to bring any gold, but on your behalf, you put say 100,000 rupees in that investment in the gold will continue to grow, and your money will also continue to grow. but you don't have to bring the gold home because it is very unsafe to keep the gold, and you have to always guard it. So here it is a digital gold, and that is why digital gold is becoming attractive. But then why gold? Simply because we have also seen from other news items and other information that, and a lot of things happening globally, that the world is maybe entering an era of recession. So when the world is entering the era of recession, that means all economy across the world, major economies like US, China, India, they cannot be isolated from each other. If there is an impact on the economy in US, there will be a direct impact on the Indian economy as well. And if there is a recession in US, there will be impact on dollar, and as a result, the global trade will also get impacted. So India will also get impacted. So that is why in India, digital gold is going to, or the gold itself will become a more viable investment because it will not be impacted by any of these global push and pull, economic push and pull. So as a small time investor, you can think of buying gold, but then buying gold is sort of quite unsafe. So for investors in India, I think the biggest change in the trend will happen when people will start investing in gold from other sorts of investment, because other sorts of investments are directly linked to the market, unlike gold. And this is even better because then you don't have to basically get that gold in your hand. You can digitally invest like a mutual fund, and your fund will keep growing with the gold, physical gold, and you keep increasing your business without losing the shine of your investment. So that is why in 2023 digital gold will become very popular, especially in India. The chances are that the world is going to get into recession. So digital gold is a viable investment avenue for most of the Indians. And if they want to, traditionally where the people invest in property, people invest in mutual funds, and property is also not doing very well. Some places it is sort of stagnant for last almost a decade, and so the property is not also increasing. So how do you ensure that your money increase, your investment increase? And the gold is something which is going to come back in 2023 as a viable investment. So I think this is why investing digitally in gold is going to be very, very popular. So it's a big change which you will see in 2023, and I thought I will talk about it today. Let's move to the next item. What is happening in the area of business which we can absorb? Well, this is about science. You know that almost decade and a half ago, the Chandrayaan, which is the Indian lunar mission, Chandrayaan 1, was primarily responsible for detecting water on the south pole of moon. And subsequently a lot of probes, American probes, NASA probes, and Chinese probes, and Japanese, they have also confirmed that there is a lot of water inside the craters on the south pole. Now after that, the NASA has started sending their Artemis. They started preparing a moon landing of manned colonies on the moon, and the Artemis 1 has already returned successfully after doing a lot of exploratory work around the moon. The idea is when the humans have to basically do activities on the surface of moon, whether to do scientific experiments or to create a base, or to do mining, whatever activity humans will have to do, they will also need to carry their atmosphere, their food and water with them, which is impossible. So if there is a water available, then this water can be used to create artificial atmosphere inside the habitats, and also water, oxygen, oxygen can be taken out from the water, can be used as an oxidant locally. And then by you will also get hydrogen, which is flammable. So by combining other elements which are available, readily available on the surface of the moon, you can also prepare rocket fuel. So water is very, very important, and now the water has been found thanks to Chandrayaan 1. This is igniting a lot of interest, because this will help us create a permanent or semi-permanent sort of settlement on the surface of moon. The problem is that the South Pole, there are certain areas where this water exists, and since it is in the South Pole, there could be other places also on the surface of the moon. They actually, this area will not get a lot of sunlight, and some of the craters are entirely in the dark, and the chances are that the water which may exist on the surface of moon may be entirely obscured of sunlight, may be frozen very hard. So in order to explore what type of water it is, before we even plan a manned mission to settle down on the surface near the South Pole, we need to know what type of water it is. It should not be a water which is not usable for humans. It should be earth-like water. So in order to conduct further tests, we know that there is water on the surface. We know that there must be water deep in the craters. And we also know that water is in the craters. There could be huge water deposit on the surface, especially on the South Pole. But we need to know whether that water is poisonous. Does it carry something which is very harmful? Does it have something which is not good for humans? So we need to conduct a lot of tests before we plan our next move. So the problem is that when we actually conduct tests, we have to physically send our probes, robotic probes. And NASA has done a lot of, they've got a practice of sending the rovers on the surface. They have sent it on Moon. They have also sent it on Mars. And even the Russians have done the same thing. They have a lot of practice of sending their robotic probes on different planets like Moon and Mars, which are roaming around and exploring the surface of these celestial bodies. So when we send the rovers on Moon to study the water, and since these rovers will have to be entirely in dark, that means there will be no sunlight ever in these areas. So how rovers will charge their batteries to function? So that is why the scientists are now, so this is becoming very big deal to plan the mission to next mission to study the water, take samples, and where the water is, where exactly there is huge amount of water, whether it is water only on the South Pole, or is there water in the lava tubes elsewhere also, that needs to be determined. So to start with South Pole, the rovers will need to be designed in such a way that they can harness the warmth and heat from sun, charge their batteries, and conduct their experiments, send it back to Earth, whatever the result is. So Chinese astronomers have figured out a way that there could be the edges of the crater, and there could be patchy sunlight, which will ensure that there is heat and warmth sent out to the rovers, and they can conduct their experiment while following the sunlight. So even if the rover has to get into the dark, it can return to the bright place after conducting the survey. So there is a lot of mapping being done at this point in time to ensure that the proper planning for these rovers can be made, proper mission planning. I beg your pardon. And then they can be sent out on the surface of the moon to conduct these tests. So the rovers will also have a bit of AI on board, and which will help them navigate through the patches of light and darkness and conduct their study of water. So that is why this next item is important if you are following the Artemis mission, and also if you are generally interested in what is happening in our space exploration So this is a very good information for those people who wants to update themselves. Now, when we talk about space exploration, we know that especially in India, there are startups who are actually making a lot of waves, and they are coming out with a lot of private initiatives without the help direct involvement of the government. On their own, they are spending money, and they are sending satellites also. So there is also a private initiative apart from the ISRO new initiatives which are now being planned until 2024, like Shukrayaan, Gaganyaan, and another mission to Mars and another mission to Moon. So a lot of things are in pipeline, and therefore in India that's also one avenue of investment, because it is a growing field. It is in a very early stage. So if you are a businessman, if you want to invest in some way in the space technology, I think this is where you should spend your money. And because this is going to grow in future, and these are the new emerging opportunities, new emerging career choices that the people can make in India. All right, so let's move on to the next item. And again, this is related to science, and this is about the wandering stars between galaxies. So we know that the galaxies are huge. They are huge places. They are areas which create a sort of pressure, and because of this pressure, gravity, the material come together and basically form stars and structures that you see. Most of the galaxies are very well defined structures, either spiral or elliptical, but most of these galaxies have several black holes and one very large black hole in the middle, at the center, around which the entire galaxy takes shape. And it has either spiral arms just like Milky Way, or elliptical galaxy. So in addition to that, the galaxies also form a huge area where there is a lot of gravity, and as a result, large galaxy also absorbs smaller galaxies and all that. So there is a dance of gravity which keeps happening around the galaxy. And we know that because of the this gravity, the stars are created. And earlier we used to think that there were no other possibility of forming a star. What you need is a high gravity. You need a cloud of dust and gas, and because of the gravity, it starts collapsing and becomes a star, and then planets, and then life around various stars and planets. So there was no possibility of having a star outside the galaxy, because there is not enough gravity and there is not enough material outside the galaxy. And another hypothesis was that the galaxies have matter, and they also have dark matter, very elusive material. And it appears that dark matter is probably 5 times the normal matter. So because of these hypotheses, that the galaxies may be shrouded and surrounded by huge halo of dark matter that creates extra gravity, and the dark matter is at least 5 to 6 times more than the visible matter that you see when you look up into the night sky and stuff like that. So that is why we always felt that the galaxies are star forming factories, and there are no stars outside the galaxies. And until now, we have also seen that there were few stars which are in the middle areas. So if there is one galaxy here and there's another one, basically few million light years away from each other, in between there are stars, which we were not able to explain why there are patches in the universe where there is no gas, no gravity, still we find some stars. So finally, the scientists have found that these stars are basically the stars which are probably thrown out from a galaxy while moving. So when the galaxy is moving in one direction, it keeps, because of various activities inside the galaxy, some of the stars may be left behind. And you know that each galaxies have billions of stars. Like a large galaxy like Milky Way has huge collection of stars. So if even 10, 15 or even 100 stars are left behind, it won't make any difference to the galaxy. Now once these stars are left behind, they will be drifting on their own without any influence of any extra gravity until another galaxy comes by, and they get absorbed by another galaxy. So this process of stars being formed in one galaxy, then remain outside the galaxy for many billions of years, then probably getting absorbed by another galaxy in future, keeps happening. And that is why we see several stars which are between the galaxies. Now it's very difficult to see these stars, and it's very hard to even do research whether these stars are capable of harboring life. So these are stars which are adrift outside the galaxy. I personally believe that these stars may have less of radiation, and if there is a chance of finding life, there could be better climate on those stars which are outside, because they are away from the hustle and bustle. They are in the suburbs, or even outside, completely outside in the village. So I think there could be a better chance of life evolving on these stars which are not in the galaxy. So probably some stars may develop life when they are in the galaxy, then they are thrown out along with their planets. They live outside the galaxy, carrying their life with them, and the life in those stars may get chance to develop into much more complex civilizations. This is what I feel. However, this is very interesting that some of these stars are left behind as a natural process by galaxies, and then they can also get absorbed by incoming galaxies, because galaxies are always constantly in motion. So where they are constantly in motion, there could be instances where they can be absorbed by incoming galaxies as well. So something that is being found out now, that there could be possibility that the stars can be thrown out and also absorbed by the galaxies while they are moving into cosmos. All right, so let's go to the next item on our list. By the way, if you have any question, feel free to send it across, and I will display your name and read out your questions or anything that you have. Any suggestions also, you're more than welcome to talk about any suggestions in this live stream. By the way, I'm going to be meeting you Monday to Friday every day at 5, and for 2 hours I will be live. All right, let's move on to the next item, which is important for us to understand, either as a businessman or as a scientist or as a investor. Well, one of the biggest confusion we have is, although we are not using the currency notes now, there is a lot of government is discouraging to use currency notes, and in fact, if there is a threshold, if so the cash transactions are not at all allowed beyond 200,000. It has to be done through a formal means, either digitally or through a check. So the use of currency has come down, but then you have always seen these currency notes on which certain things are mentioned here. As you can see in this picture, there is a 500 rupees note, and somebody has scribbled or signed it. And generally people used to think that these kind of notes are not if you write on the note, it's no longer a legal tender. That is the confusion. So I want to clarify that this is not the case. This is not the case. Although RBI does not want you to write anything on the currency note, simply because it soils the currency note. And currency note is a very printing of currency note is a very specialized process. It's a very specialized process, time consuming. It requires a lot of special kind of factories to produce, to print these currency note, and then each currency note has a unique number. So providing that number also requires a system which basically associate that number. It's a unique number. So the Reserve Bank of India does not want you to write anything on the currency note, because it actually spoils the face value of it, and it also soils it. It reduces the life of the currency note. So to clarify that confusion, whether it is still a legal tender, so I want to say that it is illegal. It is legal tender. It does not devalue, and that is where the some of the confusion happens in the field, that if you write something on the currency note, it gets devalued, and a 500 rupee note will not be either it is illegal, it becomes illegal if you write something on the currency note, or it is devalued. Both the cases are wrong, and I'm just clarifying that the value of a note on which something has been written will still be the value which is printed on the note. It does not reduce in any way. It is not illegal. So in future, if you have been told that this note is not acceptable, you can probably show to that person the RBI guidelines around this, and say that this is absolutely legal. So it does not devalue the currency note in any way. Just because some crazy guy has signed that or written something, or written his daily laundry list or stuff like that. People tend to write all sorts of things on the currency note. I don't know why. There is no need to make a note of what you want to buy today from the market, or something that you don't want to forget. But some people do, but majority of people don't do. But still, there are a few people who do that. So first of all, don't write anything, because it will actually spoil the face value of the currency note. But just in case, if you receive a currency note on which something has been written, it does not devalue it. It does not make it illegal. It is still legal, completely legal tender, and it can be used for your purpose. All right, so let's move to the next item, which is related to business. And well, a lot of things are happening in our investment arena. Lot of new avenues are coming. For example, I just talked about that there is a lot of potential for investment in the space tech, and so if you are an investor, I think this is a time to invest. Or even if you are a developer, or if you are an engineer, maybe you can come out with something which is low cost. In fact, recently a 19-year boy from state of Punjab developed a small satellite which was sent to space by ISRO as a test module. So a student has come out with a satellite. So if there is a purpose-built smaller satellites, low cost, and when they can do a job of a very large satellite, I think that is where the world is moving. And a schoolboy can develop a satellite, so that a startup can also do the same thing. So there are a lot of avenues which are opening up, especially in the space technology arena. So think about it, friends. It could be a viable opportunity, a career path for many of our budding entrepreneurs. All right, let's look at the next item. Let's move on quickly. Now, this is very important. You see, a lot of changes are happening. There are new terms are being given about new regulations being formed around moonlighting, etc. What is moonlighting? And why people are saying that you better return to office, sort of forcing, and whoever is not returning, they are firing them. So a lot of these changes are happening simply because there is a lot of acceptance towards the hybrid way of working. So when we talk about hybrid way of working, some days you go to office, meet your comrades, your colleagues, get to know them by face, by name, and not merely a 2D reflection that you see in your Zoom screens. You actually go to office and work with them physically. Maybe have a cup of coffee with them, go around the office campus, etc. So, because of the hybrid nature of the business, many companies have started imposing that there has to be hybrid, especially in 2023. They are also firing people because some people are not comfortable with hybrid. They still want to work from offshore location, and they will like to work from home. They will also like to do moonlighting. So, well, well, corporates are taking some action. People really don't care, because if there are finding opportunities for working for multiple brands at their comfort of their own time, people are preferring to do that because they get to stay at home, and especially they can take care of loved ones. So all kinds of push and pull are happening, but because of the hybrid nature of the work ethics or work culture which is being promoted by the corporates now, the office business which was in doldrum, office space business, there are a lot of corporate business centers which were renting out their beautiful office space and co-working areas. They were not sure how this business will go forward. In fact, there are large co-working business centers which are listed on the stock market. They were also finding very difficult to generate revenue because people were not coming to the office. So those avenues is now looking quite bright, and the people have to return to office, either work from co-working areas or visit the brick and mortar office, where whatever the opportunity is. So this office space demand is sort of doubled in last 6 months, and primarily because of the hybrid nature of workforce that we have today. So this avenue is coming back. Office space is slowly sort of reinventing, re-identifying themselves. Maybe so many business centers may not be required. So some business centers will have to offer something which nobody can offer. So there is an opportunity for office space business people to look at the opportunity much more closely, and also look at where the future lies, and they need to then make decisions to run their business, take their business in the right direction. Nevertheless, return to office is increasing opportunities for office space or co-working business space, and this business space may be opportunities may be improving or increasing in this arena, and this area is showing some positive results, primarily because of hybrid work culture. And the humans are social. We are social, we want to be social. So it's very important for our social fabric, and also our mental health, to physically meet people, meet our relatives, meet our friends, meet our colleagues. So if we are not able to do that, it actually affect humans in a very adverse way. So hybrid way is actually giving an opportunity. Hybrid work culture is giving an opportunity to office goers to visit office and meet their colleagues at least few times in a month, few times in a week, so that you are able to befriend some of them, and outside the office environment you can be in contact with each other, probably meet outside the office. So all that social fabric can be recreated, which is getting a hit because of the pandemic or the pandemic guidelines. So it is a good news that the office space business arena is trying to bounce back, create an opportunity, and the co-working is also, yeah, co-working is even better because in co-working you pay only when you visit the office, so you don't pay for rest of the real estate. So if you visit office only for like 2 times in a month, then you actually pay for those visits to the office. So your office, for your company will not be paying for the entire month. They will not be renting out for the entire month. They will actually pick up a one day where colleagues can meet in a co-working business space. So I think this way of finding new billing avenues, the co-working space and the office space per se, maybe reviving their business, which was into complete doldrums for past 2 years because people were working from home. I'm not sure how long this will continue because obviously there are a lot of advantages in working from home, and with the advancement in AI, the AI is now getting involved in a lot of video conferencing platforms. There are the choice of the mixed reality being provided in next 6 months. There are a lot of news about the mixed reality being launched in next 6 to 12 months. So I'm not sure how long the physical office business will basically last, but then business is business. It has to reinvent, it has to diversify, it has to create business opportunities for all kinds of people. So if there are large business centers who wants to continue in this area, maybe they have to get specialized, because work from home using AI is going to become reality. In fact, during the program today, we would talk about a lot of other things which are happening, which was going to move away from the physical work location to a digital work location, probably maintaining the social fabric, maintaining avenues of meeting your friend using the augmented reality or virtual reality. So that is going to happen. We must keep that in mind, that this is the way the world is moving to, and that is why this is important to understand how long the office business will last. All right, let's move to the next item. Let me have some water. Let's move to the next item, which we can talk about, and also think about opportunities which may happen in India, or because India is growing. India is going to play a major role in bringing back the economy of the world, reviving the economy of the world. Therefore, there are a lot of opportunities which may happen in India, and that is why we have to make sure that investment happen within India, which is happening. So let's move to the next item quickly. So there are in past 2 to 3 weeks, some of the top firms have lost a lot of shine on the stock market. Now these top firms are mostly the IT companies, most of them, or the finance companies which were doing business with these IT companies. So this trend actually shows us something. While most of the conversation that I have had so far is mostly on the positive outlook, but friends, we must not overlook, or we should not overlook the trends which are happening in the market. And some of these IT companies which thrive on the outsourcing of jobs from other countries, and most of the economy is driven by the dollar currency arbitrage. So somebody pays you in dollars, you actually convert that as your profit and salary for your employee back here in India. That is how the most of these companies, and these companies, don't mistake me, these companies are adding a very good amount of foreign exchange to the Indian economy. But the signs are showing that some of these currencies, these companies, capital is eroding, and these are large companies, employing something like 300,000, 400,000 people. Their share value is dropping constantly in past couple of weeks, because when the work from home is happening, people are available as freelancers to do the work. They don't have to work under a banner. And so there are online websites which are able to bring together these freelancers, so the customers can directly engage these freelancers. And in a way, because of the work from home scenario, the company suddenly start appearing like a middleman, because they were only hiring people, and they were ensuring that the work is being done. So now some of these large corporations have already started floating these websites, where people can actually register and actually work, get paid for number of hours they have worked. So while some companies are changing over to the new management style, but these large companies will find it difficult to change overnight, and that is why their business is getting a hit. They are trying very hard to show that their quarter by quarter growth is improving, but that's not reality. Maybe they can ensure, because these companies have a lot of cash reserves, so they can actually maintain that growth trajectory, but for how long? So some of these companies have started laying off people. Some of these companies are doing it openly. Some of these companies have decided not to do openly, through backdoors, without announcing to the world. Slowly keep removing their manpower, because if there's no work happening, no work coming from overseas. And remember, I told you that most of the business and most of the profit is because of the conversion arbitrage. So to basically make money, they have to find an overseas client, and they will not be happy if they get a domestic client, because they don't get that benefit when they actually work for a domestic client. They don't get the benefit of currency arbitrage, and the profit margins are not very good when they work for domestic clients. So they always look for the overseas clients, so that they can get paid in foreign currencies, and make money in that conversion ratio. And these companies are getting hit big time, and I think this time has come to look at how we can change our business processes, how we can ensure that in future we start getting business. Maybe we have to downsize ourselves in order to maintain our profitability. Maybe we don't want to basically play too much on currency arbitrage, manpower arbitrage, or maybe it's time for these large companies to become more specialized, rather than putting fingers in all kinds of things. In my opinion, having worked with a lot of IT companies in my career, I feel that the time has come for IT companies to think about how they can actually become a better project management companies, rather than getting into deliveries, direct deliveries of things. How they can get into better project management, how they can get into ensuring that even working with freelancers, they can actually do a project management, ensure that large scale softwares can be delivered for the end client. So they have to then not hire everybody, because everybody else will be working as a freelancer. They have to hire very good, some of the brightest planners, project managers for their work, and then that is how these companies will be able to differentiate themselves. But until unless each company has their own strategy, I'm sure very bright minds are sitting behind the board of these companies, and they are looking at the market trend, and obviously they may be thinking about how to do what to do in next quarter and next quarter and so on, and how do we save the same growth trajectory for for their company. And of course, there are new business opportunities which are coming up, domestic business opportunities. So whether they want to divert their attention from the currency arbitrage business and divert and start looking at the domestic business, because the outlook of the Indian digital business is great, and everybody acknowledges, even the large companies like Microsoft has acknowledged that the India has come a long way. The outlook of Indian government looks amazing. I will talk about that. So maybe these large companies, I'm not taking any names here, but maybe these large companies may look at the domestic opportunities. Maybe they would like to diversify into something else. And diversification is not bad, actually. Diversification is very important for business, because if you don't diversify, then how do you ensure that your company remain afloat? One of the greatest example is the Nokia phones. Nokia came from building wagons to building smartphones, building wagons. Can you imagine? So they kept diversifying over last 150 years, and they failed to. They were very modern company. They used to diversify, but the change happened so rapidly for Nokia. They did not diversify, and eventually they lost out to Samsung and iPhone. But before iPhone came and Samsung, the Android phone came, they were the leaders. They had the 90% market share of mobile handsets globally, and they lost it because they did not diversify fast enough. So I think diversification has to be done by everybody. It is the game that has to be taken care by all companies, and we should not basically take this loss that the stock market has shown huge loss, especially these 10 to 15 companies. But we should actually understand this as more like a lesson and start looking at how we can save our business, how we can save our company, how we can diversify in order to stay afloat. I think that is where the lesson from the market is. And as we basically continue our journey in 2023, and if the recession hits, which is a reality, recession is going to happen, and if you're dependent on the US economy, UK economy, those economies are under recession, how you will basically make money while sitting in India? So I think people have to think about it, but this is something which has happened. So I wanted to touch upon this and spend some time on this, that time has come to not look at the cross currency arbitrage opportunities, rather look at growing fields like space tech, education technology, healthcare. I think this is where the business is going to grow, and AI, this is where the business is going to grow. So diversify your organization into these new areas which will give you better revenue generation choices in future. All right, let's move to the next item. And this is about the Indian digital services which are launched by the Indian government, and everybody is appreciating, because India has especially the government, they have moved faster than the private sector, especially this government, starting from 2014. Previously, the government used to keep following and they used to get limit their activities to the lawmaker sort of activities only. But this government has shown that they can actually move faster than the private sector, change the entire outlook of e-governance. And the government of India knew that if they actually set up an example to the private sector, that they can change their own attitude and they can move faster, then the private sector has to move faster than them. That means private sector has to quickly evolve into more business for themselves in a new way. So a lot of things the Indian government did. They introduced a lot of AI across many very difficult departments of the government. And because of that, the India story is becoming phenomenal, especially when it comes to the services that the government provides to their citizens. I mean, the biggest example is the Enam. Enam, I'm sure all of you must have heard about. Uh, it is the portal for helping the, um, the the farmers in terms of supporting them when the rain will happen, how much minerals and nutrients are required in a soil, or so soil sampling, when you need to arrange for water, when you need to cut for optimum growth yield from your field, um, where you will sell it. So this government has tried to, in fact they have not tried, they have actually moved away from the old methods of going to the mandi and then selling it off, and the entire business was controlled or sort of monitored, regulated by the Food Corporation of India. So the Indian government has moved away from the old methods, legacy methods. They are now launching Enam, and there's a lot of AI being used, a lot of satellite imagery, and ultimately these information or the service is being provided to each and every farmer using an app. So everybody carries a smartphone nowadays, so even farmer carries a smartphone. So how much nutrients are there in his soil, so soil sampling, that information requires a lot of research, and it requires a lot of AI learning softwares. So the government has come a long way to do this machine learning based system, which creates all this infrastructure. And if they actually had used the typical government methods of physically checking everything, then this would have never taken off. So they have used AI to monitor the weather, they have used AI to monitor the soil, and also advising in a very simple way to all these farmers when to grow, when to cut, and also providing a e-portal to sell their produce online. So I think this is amazing, and then also give them benefit or using direct benefit transfer directly into their account. So they made that, and you know that India has the farming community, almost 15 to 20% of the population is involved in farming. So India, being a large country with huge population, especially 20% of the population, almost 200 million people involved in farming, to carry out this kind of activity, you would actually need AI. And now the this service looks amazing, and there are more and more services being added to this one. What I've heard is that nearly 1,000 AI companies are helping government to improve service rendering, especially to the farmers. So there is more to come. There's more being added almost every day to how farmers can be a better farmer, how they can produce, how they can achieve better output. Similarly, taxation. There is now there is a faceless taxation. It's very streamlined. So for income tax, there used to be a file, and in case you have any issues, you have to go to the income tax officer, who will then make you run around or whatever, the old times. So now the tax department has completely been revamped. It's all online, and it's completely faceless. The window is completely faceless, so your interaction with the department is happening as a department. Who that person who's actually handling your case, maybe in your state, maybe somewhere else in India, but it doesn't matter. It's completely transparent. The AI is ensuring your tax is calculated, your tax is paid, collected, and there is no way you can actually get in touch with your tax officer. So all that is being done. So it's phenomenal. A country like India make that change to happen literally overnight. It's really phenomenal. So like that, there are several other incidents. The AI being taught as a subject at a school level, especially senior school level, starting from class 10th. So many of the states, the AI course has been launched from 10th, 11th, and 12th. So by the time the school students are out of school, get ready to get into graduations, to become a graduate, after 12th standard, they already have interest in AI, they have done their basics in AI, and when they get into the graduation, they can actually start doing a lot of research and development at the graduation level, and probably they will actually grow faster and finish their masters early. Some of these people will in future will do PhD. So the trick is to teach AI early, and that is where the CBSE has actually introduced AI courses at the school level. So I think it's phenomenal. The Digital India initiative has been really appreciated by all corporates, all global companies, because they see this as an opportunity. When the small startups are working, why not the large corporations? And why not help India to do even better what they have been doing? And in fact, when it comes to digital payments, micropayments, the Beam application, which is the heart of all of these digital transactions, and because of the Beam application, so much changes has happened. It's much more easier. Everybody now carries their mobile and a QR code based payment app. So it's a lot easier. You can just send the QR code and get paid. So there is no payment gateway hassles and blah blah blah. All those things are gone of the past when it comes to digital payment. It's much more seamless. Now India has started talking to other economies. They've already finished tying up with the Thailand and Singapore micro payment platforms. So you can also send money across India using your mobile phone, and also send money to Singapore, to Thailand, and probably a few other countries, maybe UK in future, because the UK mega trade agreement may happen soon. So a lot of these initiatives are happening, and because of this, and especially the educated class in India, is huge, much bigger than even US and China. So adaptability of these technologies is very rapid. The government has shown that they have taken initiative, they have rolled it out, people have accepted it. So today, India has become the second in the world after China in when it comes to digital payments. Then they have the last one is the GST portal. So collection of government taxes while doing business was a big thing, because each state, and India has a federal system of governance. So each state had their own law, and somebody is doing business in multiple states, they have to have legal framework to understand the law. One law applicable in one state is not applicable in others. So sometimes you commit mistake, because of that you can be penalized by the government. So a whole lot of these things have been ironed out, and now there is only one tax across India, because that is GST. So rolling out of GST has also happened in a very big way. It's huge, because in a country like India, to centralize taxation was a big thing. How state will make money, how central government will make money, all that has been finalized. And then there is a consortium of states which decides what rate of GST will be applied on these various commodities. So I think this requires a huge backend support, huge infrastructure, fail proof, completely secure, completely on the internet, and always available. And because of that, these things are being provided by the Indian government and being appreciated globally. This is a huge thing, and because of which a lot of people are liking it, they are appreciating it, and they want to get involved in this initiative by the Indian digital initiatives by the Indian government. And because of this, the Indian economy is also improving quite a bit. It is showing that the Indian economy is the fastest growing, because We can actually track all transactions quickly, and there is no delay. And nobody has to sit with a pen and paper to calculate what is going on. Everything is online, everything is available, all taxation collected online, your banking is online, your payments for business are online, and less of hassles. You don't have to keep doing your math every now and then. So it's all becoming a lot more easier to do business in India, and all this is because of the new government initiative, and they have moved faster than the private sector. And private sector is, I would say, sort of left behind. They have adapted, but ideally the private sector should have moved forward, taken some giant leaps, which I believe will happen in 2023, especially with the augmented reality, because the 5G is also available in now 76 cities across India. So there is a good enough opportunity for augmented reality to come in a big way. 5G doesn't cost anything. It costs about the same as 4G. So most of the people will migrate their devices to 5G network, to 5G, get access to this high speed network. And what is stopping new entrants to start launching AR VR services? Maybe bundle it with their mobile phone connections, maybe create new kind of holograms, maybe do research in how do you eliminate these AR VR devices and communicate using holograms. How do you create more immersive experience for communication, so that business in the back end continue digitally, while the private sector will drive the presentation layers. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for the private sector to make use of these changes that the Indian government has thought about very methodically and implemented this. This is amazing. India has a amazing story, especially the digital story is really, really amazing. So friends, if you have any suggestions, any comments, we are live, and you can send in your comments, and I will display your name and read out that. All right, so let's move to the next item. And Chat GPT. I'm sure some of you may have heard, it's in the news almost every day. What is Chat GPT, and how this will change the world, for good or for bad? I will talk about that now. Chat GPT is a new AI messaging AI which is used in messaging. It's a bot basically, and it is funded by Elon Musk privately. And now we know that there are several bots available. If you are a user of Facebook, there are bots you can configure. Every system provides AI bots. The trick in a bot is that the bot has to understand what other person is saying, and interpret it and reply logically. You cannot have these canned replies. You cannot think of all possibilities. And the world has moved away, sort of come a long way, and now most of the platforms are providing AI bots. So Chat GPT is one of such bots. It's not something which is unique, but what makes it unique is that the AI is exceptional. The learning platform of AI is exceptional. You can ask any question, and the Chat GPT learns and reply to you in a way. It will look like as if there is some intelligence at the back end, and they have done analysis and they have replied, and it's very fast. So it's not that when you ask something, it will take 1 or 2 minutes. It will actually analyze quickly and give you the answer. Now Chat GPT is so efficient. Several schools have already banned it. Several schools globally have banned it, because Chat GPT can be used to manipulate the system, and students can use it to answer their answer sheets, because the teacher will not be able to differentiate between a real student and chat gpt, which is going to answer on his behalf. So chat gpts have been completely removed from this arena, and people are scared that chat gpt uh, may create this scenario where it can be misused. While it can be used also very effectively, chat gpt is a bot which is basically used for better communication, automated communication. Whenever you are trying to communicate with a platform, you have a suggestion or a grievance, or you want something to be done, so chat gpt type of bot will actually understand your problem, give you a solution without any human being present, without any call center, without any of this infrastructure. So the whole idea is to do it more intelligently. So all of these platform has it. Chat gpt is very realistic. Their response, the chat gpt's responses are very, very human like. So that is why in the first week of its launch, it already, in fact, first few days, it actually got 1 million downloads. So a lot of people downloaded it, tested it, and it worked for them. The only challenge is that ChatGPT may also create this negative impact, because there has to be little control on that. Right now it is open source, it is free, and so anybody can download it. Now if people download it and misuse it, just like I quoted an example of a school exams, it can be also misused for various other things. I'm sure there are some humans who may be using chat gpt to do something else, like attacking your financial system, attacking your accounts, attacking countries to change the political system, attacking a lot of digital initiative started by a lot of other companies. So in a way, chat gpt is amazing, because open source technology, freely available. A lot of people can get access to it easily on the Play Store. Yet it offers it also offers a little bit of risk, because if it is not controlled, then it can be misused, and therefore it's open source, it's free. So we have to ensure that the chat gpt, there has to be some regulation, there has to be some price, so that not everybody get access to chat gpt kind of a system. But as a technology platform, this is a really good experiment. I would say that now ai can respond very close to human type responses. If you ask a question, a very intelligent answer can be given, and it can be very intuitive. Sometimes it could be very emotional answer that chat gpt comes out with. We have seen all those instances. They were covered very heavily in the news, that how you can ask even absurd thing, and chat gpt will give you a very witty answer. So and chat gpt is much better than alexas and those kind of bots which are already running. So that is why this is gaining a lot of popularity. However, at this point in time, I must point out that the any ai has a learning curve, just like a human child. Human child is not born with all the knowledge in its brain. It actually live in the world, learn from the experience. Rather, humans keep learning throughout their life, learn from their experiences. So similarly, ai also learn with the experience. So there could be instance where the learning database can be pre-built, and then learning will take its own time. Future learning will take its own time, and longer the ai remains active, it keeps learning and keep building the learning database. So as of now, since this system is new, this has information for the year 2021, the learning data, because this is open source. And that, friends, the data is data is the king. So to create data, it takes a lot of efforts. So since this is open source, a small team that has developed this, their AI learning data is very accurate for the year 2021. They have not updated for 2022. So AI is learning, but it will take time. So we have one saving grace, that the AI chat GPT, until unless the company basically teach this chat GPT more information about other years, then chat GPT will take its own sweet time to grow to the levels of the AI which are being used by Google. Talking about Google, the biggest threat ChatGPT offers is to the Google, because Google entire business or Amazon entire business, these companies run very heavily using AI. They have these algorithms which are running in the back end, controlling everything about their platforms like Google, who's doing what, who deserves what, who basically make money, etc, etc. All of that is being run by various algorithms. And now there is and this is run being done by the AI bots, which have been running for at least 15 to 20 years. And these bots are very old. They have built up huge repository of learning data, the learned data, which they can access easily and also take decisions without human intervention. If you disagree on Google or Amazon of certain decisions, you can actually file an appeal. I'm sure everybody has seen those systems where something has been struck down by the AI. You can file an appeal, and then somebody comes and looks at it, and then it takes some time, 2 to 3 weeks to resolve that issue. However, most of the system is automatic. There is monitoring being done using these 10 to 15 AIs in Google. So if chat GPT type of AI comes in, I think the Google will have to closely monitor this development, and companies like Microsoft, companies like Amazon, they have to closely monitor what is going on in these open source arena, how this chat GPT is going to affect the masses, and how they are going to change the AI business in a big way, whether there is a threat to them, their business, how this chat GPT AI or the new variants in future will impact the Google business, and what will happen to their own AI bots which are running for 10-15 years. And because these AI bots of Google are running for many years, they have become very intelligent, because they have learned over these 10-15. They have a early start of 15 years, so they have becoming more and more intelligent. They are becoming more and more aware of the Google environment, and they are also taking decisions about what is right, what is wrong, taking action on their platforms. So I think this is not the first time that the AI is being used. Google, as I said, has been using it for many years. Even the search engine of the Google, which is the primary offerings of Google, is also being done by the AI in the backend. So in order to come on the search engine, there are a lot of these AdWords, which are again controlled by AI in Google. So a lot of AI being used in Google. So Google has to keep watch of this chat GPT arena, and also Microsoft, because they are entering into new a new AR VR arena, and Amazon, because I think the Amazon is also starting their similar services like Google in next 2 to 3 months. So Amazon will have to also look at what is going on in the open source AI arena. So I think this is a big learning, or even a big threat to these large corporations, chat GPT. So if you have any question on chat GPT, feel free to send it across. I will answer. I will display your name here and take up your question immediately. Before I move on to the next item, let me have some water. All right, friends. So what next is happening which we must talk about. Okay, so we cannot end our discussion, or we cannot, how can we not talk about China? You know, everybody is talking about China, so we should also talk about China. Well, China is a large country, larger than India in economy, in terms of population, also larger in land mass because they have acquired so many other countries, they have gobbled up, so they have become pretty big. And China has global ambitions. They are also one of the permanent member in the United Nations Security Council. They have influence across the world. They are trying to control each and everything. In fact, they control most of the production globally. A lot of supply lines starts from Shanghai, goes all over the world. Everything is made in China. China also has access to a lot of rare earth elements which are used in electronics. So they actually mine these rare earth elements and ship it out for other manufacturers to convert them into chips which are used in mobile phones and your PCs and even satellites. So the world needs China. China already knows that. And so there is a lot of anti-China sentiments which is brewing up for last couple of years. China knows that and they are fighting it uh, as a country. They've also struck. I mean, the world did not see their diplomacy, their advanced giving diplomacy. They have also ensured that almost half the world is indebted under China loans, and they start losing out their real estate to China. So China expansion is not only limited to the territory in the East Asia region. They have global ambitions. I mean, they are closing deals left, right, centers, giving very attractive loans to various countries. And when the countries are not able to pay, they just take their investment back in terms of real estate. So their properties or real estate is growing globally. Now, the war has broken out between Russia and Ukraine. Well, in my opinion, it's a war which is not being fought like a war. If there was a war in India, they would have actually fought for 15 days and they would have finished everything, and objectives of the battle objectives would have met. Now, these guys are fighting for many, many years, many months now. They're going to complete 1 year in few days from now. So that war is not going to end. They will continue to war. And under the guise of these wars, various initiatives, global initiatives are being tried out. And China has a very global outlook. They have global ambitions. A lot of other countries have. US has the global resolves. And China is trying to take over US. And one of the big thing is the US dollars. We already know that US dollar is the biggest accepted open currency today globally. If you want to do business anywhere in the world, you need US dollars. US also knows that. And because of this feature that US has very smartly done in last 100 years, if there is an inflation within the in the local domestic US economy, it's very easy for US to transition all that inflation to the global world population, because their currency is used within the US domestically, and their currency is also used in global trade. So their recession will get migrated immediately to other countries who are actually maintaining a lot of foreign reserves in US dollars. So this is a strategy of US, especially after Second World War. They become very smart in controlling global economy, and they ensure that the people within US do not feel the recession, and even if there is some recession, it is transitioned to the millions of US dollar holders across the world. So under the guise of this war which is happening in Europe, petroleum, for which you have to basically pay in US dollars, is an open fact. If India has to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, they have to pay in US dollars. And Incidentally, while China is producing a lot of things for the world, the entire supply chain is controlled by China. China and India, two largest nations, do not have oil. They have to buy from Saudi or somewhere else, or Russia. So it is a sort of a natural balancing act, that these two large countries have everything else, but they don't have petroleum, and petroleum is used for vehicles. Petroleums are used for trains. So you need a lot of oil, and you need a lot of oil, especially almost 45 to 48% population lives in these two countries, India and China. So the foreign exchange reserves India and China has to build only to look at the petroleum trade is huge. So until few years back, in fact even today, India has a huge foreign exchange. um, Primarily they have to maintain in US dollars when they want to import oil, and the biggest import India makes is petroleum. Just like China does not produce any petroleum. They have to buy it from other countries like Saudi has been a US ally, and they have been, Iran has been blacklisted by US. So Iran is not doing business. Before that, Iraq was one of the major oil producer. They have been decimated by two Iraq wars. So they are now forced to collect their payments for oil in dollars. Saudi has been saying that they will collect in dollars. So if India has to buy or China has to buy, they have to have dollars. But this war has created a new avenue, which is the Russian oil, Russian gas. And now China is looking at changing this equation of the dollar dominance, and that is what is driving the animosity between China and US. Because once China gets out of this foreign exchange, US dollar foreign exchange clutch, then it's going to be a big loss to the dollar. And then US will not be able to transition their domestic recession onto the global dollar exchequers. That is what is most worrying for the US. And India is also doing the same thing. India is striking up their direct deal with Russia for discounted oil, and China is already done that, and they are saying that the petroleum they will buy from Russia, they will pay in yuans, which are now intuitively called as petro yuan. Yuan is their currency, so they will pay in yuan. And the way it will work is that the yuan, there will be some sort of fund being created within China, and that fund will be converted into rubles, because Russian currency is rubles, or cross currency. Petro yuan will be mapped directly to rubles, stuff like that. So a lot of complicated permutation combination being worked out, and the new currency relationships are being formed because of the advancement in petro yuan, and a huge chunk of petroleum will be purchased using this petro yuan. And remember, China is a large country. There are a lot of domestic consumption of petroleum products, fuel, different products. Industry use petroleum, transportation use petroleum, airlines, people for driving cars. So it's a huge consumer market for petroleum product, just like India. Now India has also struck a deal with Russia. India will buy Russian oil in Indian rupees, which is a similar deal like petro yuan. However, this change in how you buy petroleum now will actually weaken the US dollar value, and that is what is worrying, and that is why this war is happening. And this war is continuing because, believe it or not, with the technology, Russia can finish the war in like 2 days and probably acquire the entire Ukraine in 1 week. They speak the same language, so there is no need. In fact, they were part of the same nation earlier, just 20 years back. A lot of Russians living in Ukraine, a lot of Ukrainians are living in Russia and elsewhere in the world. So if they want to finish it, they can finish it in like 1 week. but they don't want to. They want to basically change the world order, and the petro yuan is one of the big thing and a big worry for the Western powers, because now the developing countries are showing the strength of their buying power to the Western countries. And even the Saudis are not able to decide which side they are, because all these years they have been a very, very strong ally of US, and they have always listened to the US commands. Now things are not so rosy for US, so the war continues. Uh, I don't know where they are fighting the war, because if it was a war, whatever war we have seen in India, we would finish in 10 days and move on. No point in prolonging the war. But I think this war is creating these new equations, economic equations, and even the cross currency business has been created about 400 years back because of the English conquest across the one colonization across the world. So this 400-year-old equation of cross currency between Singapore, India, China, UK, US, Russia versus South Africa, all that is gone now. It needs an update. So all these changes are happening because of this, and I think China petro yuan, because China is a huge buyer of petroleum from all countries, that is one of the reasons that they also want to control the sea routes, and they don't want a situation where the petroleum coming towards China gets hindered in any way. So they are very smartly influencing the world. Their economy is also very huge. They control the global supply chains for all products, and they also import a lot of petroleum. So this is a smart move by China and also by India, because India has also struck a deal with Russia to buy their oil and gas in Indian rupees. So India is also a large petroleum consumer, and India maintains about a month of reserve within India. So India being a large country, the entire railway system runs on petroleum, now getting converted slowly on electric, but each one of us drive 2 to 3 cars. Those cars, we are a billion people, so we have at least 2 to 3 billion cars in the country, requires petroleum. So all of this is coming from these petroleum producing countries, and we have now struck a deal to directly do business with Russia in Indian rupees. So it's a great thing, and that these two countries, if they decide to move away from US dollar, it will help the economies of these two countries, because we don't have to spend a lot of money in acquiring US dollars, our own currency, and also taking on the recession of the US economy onto ourselves, because when we hold those US dollars in our account, they will get affected by the domestic economy of the United States. So all that is changing, and these changes are driving the new world business scenarios, and that is why the petro yuan is becoming a big trouble for US and US economy. They're trying to see how they can pin down China in whichever way they can, and also pin down India. Well, these are all very delicate balancing acts globally, so we will have to see what happens next. But at this point in time, looks like the India and China are sort of moving away from and they're basically increasing their influence. China has already done that. India is now slowly getting into that groove. All right, let's move to the next item. By the way, if you have any suggestions, any questions, feel free to send in your comments. Now we have to talk about Apple. Let me have some water. So what is about Apple? Well, Apple, we know that recently there has been a COVID outbreak in China, and Apple has a very huge production facility in China. And most of the Apple headsets and Apple devices that we use are made in China. We already know that it's written on the device when we buy. So Apple is shifting, and because of this US China issues, the Apple is an American company, so they are now shifting their factory outside of China. And what we've been hearing that Apple is going to set up a factory in India for manufacturing. They are already striking deals with Samsung partners in India, and there are at least 200 mobile phone factories in India already producing mobile phones for a lot of global brands. So why not for Apple? So Apple has struck a deal with Indian government. They are shifting their factory out of China into India. Maybe one or two factories, maybe all the factories. We don't know. There's not a lot of clarity. Nevertheless, they are in the process of shifting their production units out of China. They will have to do it gradually because the supply lines will be affected if they do that, and also the political scenario will be adversely affected. So they are doing it slowly. While this is happening, Apple has already announced their own retail chain in India. That's a very big development. So why open a retail chain if there is no production facility? And India is also a very big market. You know that. You know, 1.5 billion people living in India, and each one carrying 2 to 3 devices in their hand. So at least 3 to 4 billion devices the market has on annual basis. So it's a huge market. So even if Apple looks at 40 to 50% of this market, is a huge opportunity. The only challenge is that the Apple or all devices, Samsung devices are cheaper in India because some of them are manufactured in India. Apple is primarily imported, so that adds additional import duty that makes them quite expensive. So if Apple is being manufactured in India, the cost can be brought down. So that is the first change. And then Apple is now opening a bunch of retail stores, their own retail stores. That means the buyers will get very personalized, very unique experience on these Apple retail stores. And they have also started advertising on their website in India what skill sets they need. You know, all kinds of skill sets they have mentioned on their website. So they are actually hiring. So remember when I started my live stream today, I talked about how companies have to reinvent and how companies will have to see what are the new opportunities. So you see, this is a great example. Let me stitch my previous discussion back to this one. Apple is now looking at hiring the retail store staff, and that requires all kinds of people, managers, requires salesmen, people who will actually do the warehousing and stuff like that. So they will be opening their retail stores, and before they open the retail store, they need staff. So they are now going to interview people. So I think this opens up an opportunity for employees to get engaged in this kind of this kind of jobs. And Apple being one of the prominent brands, almost 50% market share, 49-50% if I'm not mistaken in India. It's very popular, and especially the good quality product they give, there are a lot of fan followers. So if they are opening retail stores of their own, I'm sure it's going to be India wide, from every corner, length and breadth of the country. They will have to open in even D class cities, because Apple phones penetration is very, very high in India. So this is something which is going to happen. Apple is going to open a chain of their own retail stores, and for this they are going to hire people. So if you are interested and if you're watching me online, you can take this information and use it to your advantage. That probably visit the Apple website, see if there are some skill sets they have posted which matches your skill set. And if you're interested in joining this kind of business, retail business, you can actually either open a retail store, hire their people, or join them as staff. It's up to you. It's up to the listener. Um, So I think this is where the world is moving. This is where the India is moving. New opportunities are coming our way. We have to find the fine path in in the way we actually do business, and therefore this information is also very important. Let me have some water. All right. So what is the next item on our list today? The legendary Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. There are a lot of rumors around Jack Ma. He disappeared in 2020, and a lot of rumors, a lot of folklores. Um, he suddenly went underground, and we did not know where Jack Ma is. And Jack Ma is a very fine gentleman. He's a very self-made man. He created Alibaba, which became a global phenomena on his own. He started funding a lot of movies from the money that he generated in his Alibaba business. Then he started many variants of Alibaba, and they were able to deliver. So they are competing with likes of Amazon. Amazon is sort of localized, whereas Alibaba is global. So Amazon businesses, you can actually buy Amazon in that country, whereas in Alibaba you can actually go to Alibaba and order something which will be delivered at your phone's footstep from anywhere in the world. So that is where it is different. And they have various different types of Alibaba platforms. You can buy in bulk, you can buy in small quantity, you can even buy one item. For all of this, there are different variants of their platform. And the best thing is you can buy anything on Alibaba, from a trailer to the needle. So that is why Jack Ma was sort of a visionary for creating Alibaba, making a lot of money for himself and for his employees and for his country as well. Alibaba is one of the movers and shakers of the world today. But in 2020, he sort of disappeared from limelight, and before that, he was very active. He was actually lecturing in different countries. He was actually giving a lot of inspirational lectures and inspiring young people to learn from their mistakes and be like him, just like he did it. Self-made man, completely. Very, very appreciative of his success. I personally look at Jack Ma as a hero. However, he disappeared in 2020. We don't know why he disappeared, and he has not been coming out in public. And there were a lot of speculation that what has happened to the great Jack Ma, why he is not meeting people, why he is living in obscurity, things like that. So we don't know what is going on, even though Alibaba is a very, very happening website. It's profitable, but somehow Jack Ma is not in the limelight. There must be happening something at the political level in his own country. So he took a back seat. He disappeared from the limelight, only to resurface a couple of days back in Thailand. That too in a very small restaurant where he went to eat some Chinese food in Thailand. So what is going on? So again, speculation. I don't know for sure, but now he keeps showing his face once in a while from this time in Thailand, but he keeps showing his face coming out in public once in a while, just to prove that he is not disappeared completely. He is not gone underground. He is there. But I think a lot of things are happening in Alibaba. One of the things is that they have a platform called Alipay, which is basically a payment gateway and also a wallet system. So if you are buying from Alibaba or if you have a long-term relationship as a vendor, you can actually create a Alipay account, and that will help you do a lot of things. You can have a wallet. You can also pay them or collect payments for your merchandise, etc. So Alipay has a messaging feature as well, and using this messaging feature you can conduct various surveys, and you can also create polls. So he is resurfaced in Thailand. People are now speculating that using Alipay, there will be a poll conducted, or probably it's already in the works, where the change of management will be or a poll will be conducted on the change of management. So it looks like that he may like to get out of Alibaba, and that is why he is gradually keeping himself away from the limelight for past 2 years, only to resurface once in a while. And very soon, new board may be coming up. We don't know. Again, is speculation. There is a lot of speculation about any Chinese company. You know that China being a communist nation, a lot of things can be hidden, and a lot of things are not very clear. It's all very strategic at a global level and being controlled at a very high level. So things are not very open in China, and Jack Ma is a Chinese national. So we don't know what is going on. Again, speculation, because nobody can say for sure what pressures are there on his head. Nevertheless, if he wants to get out, one of the methods or one of the future things that we can keep track is if Alipay conducts a poll about change in management. So I think you can also keep track of that and see if some changes are happening or being promoted by Jack Ma himself. Maybe there is the company may be sold off, or company may be acquired by the government, or company may be sold off to some global players. We don't know, but as a platform, they are very profitable. They are live and kicking, and I think it's the US-China diplomacy which is taking a toll on this global company. So they have no other option but to wait and watch and understand what goes on with regard to Alibaba. So friends, I will be meeting you every day live, and this live stream is dedicated on science and business. So if you have any question, any suggestion, you can meet me live here and send in your question or comments. All right, so let's move to the next item. If we have anything, no, we have run out of items today. So we will be meeting again tomorrow at 5 p.m. 5 to 7 is my time, where I will actually take the questions and also update you what is going on in our industry, especially India, how we can leverage our reach, the new things which are happening in our country and globally, how you can steer your business, and also pick up some ideas as an inspiration, so that the people who want to start business can pick up those ideas and make those changes to their own business strategy. So friends, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching my live stream, and I will catch you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Until then, keep rocking, keep selling, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.